The dirty girl's promise, the battlefield was silent. Only the sound of wind moved through the broken metal and burnt ground. The war between humans and alien machines had ended 2 days ago, but the land still smelled like fire and death. Miller, a tired human soldier, walked slowly through the ruins. His armor was scratched, his gun almost out of charge. He was not looking for enemies now. He was looking for survivors. He passed a half-destroyed alien ship. Something made a sound. It was small, like a weak breath. Jake stopped. "Who's there?" he asked, holding his gun up. No answer. He moved closer. A pile of metal parts was shaking. Carefully, he pushed the pieces aside. Underneath the metal, he saw her. She was not human. Her skin was dark blue, almost gray. Her body was covered in dirt, blood, and ash. Her clothes were torn, her hair messy, her face full of bruises. But her eyes were glowing, just a little. Soft green light. Jake aimed his gun. "What are you?" She looked at him, weak, tired. Her lips moved slowly. "If you wash me and make me clean," she said in a soft voice, "I'll bear you strong children." "Human." Jake stepped back. "What?" Her hand rose. It was shaking. She was trying to reach him, but didn't have the strength. "I am not your enemy," she said. "They did this to me. I was once strong, a warrior. But now I am dirty, broken." Jake looked around. No one else was there. He should leave. She could be a trap. Maybe she was lying, but something in her voice felt real. "You need help?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, cleanse me. Not just with water. I need trust. I need to feel safe. Only then can I be strong again." Jake didn't understand fully. But war had taught him one thing. Sometimes, saving one life is more powerful than taking many. He put his gun down and reached out his hand. "Okay, I'll help you," he said. She smiled. It was small but soft. "Thank you, human." Jake lifted her gently. She was light. Her body was cold. He carried her back to a small underground hideout he had used before. It was dark but safe. There was water, medicine, and some food. He laid her on a soft bed. She coughed. Her body was shaking. Jake brought a bowl of warm water and a clean cloth. He sat beside her. "I don't know your name," he said. "I am Kalira," she whispered. He dipped the cloth into the water and slowly cleaned her face. The dirt came off. Her skin underneath was smooth, almost shining. "You're not from the machine army," Jake said. "No," she replied. "I fought them, just like you. My people were warriors. But the machines captured me. They broke me." Jake cleaned her hands, her arms, her wounds. As he did, the light in her eyes grew stronger. "You really believe washing you will make you powerful?" he asked. "It is not just water," she said. "It is the care, the trust. You are giving me back something they took." Suddenly, a sound came from outside. Drones. Jake grabbed his weapon and looked through the small hole in the wall. 3 flying machines were scanning the area. "They're looking for something," he said. "They are looking for me," Kalira said. "They fear what I can become, if I'm cleansed fully. I am dangerous to them." Jake's heart was beating fast. He had to make a choice. Stay and protect her, or run and survive. He looked at her glowing eyes, her weak body, the way she trusted him with her life. "I won't leave you," he said. He closed the hideout entrance and turned off all lights. The drones flew past. Inside the dark room, Kalira smiled again. "You are different. Human," she said. Jake nodded. "You better be worth all this." Kalira looked at him and whispered, "I promised you strong children. Not of flesh yet, but of strength, of hope, of something new." Jake didn't understand it fully, but something inside him told him this was only the beginning. The cleanse begins. Darkness. Silence. Kalira opened her eyes. She was alone. The small room was quiet, lit only by a weak lamp on the wall. She could hear the soft sound of water dripping from a broken pipe. She sat up slowly. Her body still hurt, but something inside her had changed. It was small, but it was there. A light. A spark. She touched her face. It was clean now. Her skin felt warm, her heart steady. She remembered the human, Jake, the one who had helped her, trusted her, risked his life to protect her. She closed her eyes. This world may not be mine, she whispered, but I will rise on it. Suddenly, the door opened. Jake entered with a warm can of soup and a small towel. You're awake, he said. Kalira nodded. You kept your promise. I said I'd help you, he said, sitting beside her. So, what now? She looked at the bowl of water beside her bed. Slowly she dipped her fingers into it. The water shimmered with a strange light, almost like it was reacting to her skin. Jake noticed it. What is that? He asked. Kalira didn't speak at first. She took the towel, soaked it, and wiped the side of her neck. Her eyes glowed stronger, a soft green light pulsing in the dark room. This is the beginning of my cleanse, she said. But water alone is not enough. Then what do you need? Jake asked. Kalira looked at him. Stories, emotion, memory. I was not just broken in body, they stole my spirit. To become whole again, I must feel what I've lost. Jake looked confused. You want therapy? Kalira blinked. What is therapy? Jake gave a small laugh. Never mind, I'll help however I can. Kalira stood on weak legs. She walked to the small mirror in the corner and stared at herself. Her reflection looked more alive than before, less like a ghost. Tell me, she said, about your people, about Earth. Jake raised an eyebrow. That's what you want? Kalira nodded. Yes, humans have something rare. Something even strong species fear. I want to understand it. Jake thought for a moment. Then he began to speak. He told her about Earth's history. About war, peace, love, and sacrifice. About families, music. Oceans, fireflies, dogs, and childhood. He didn't use big words, just simple, honest stories, and Kalira listened. Eyes closed, breathing slow. Like every word was a drop of medicine. As the hours passed, the room began to feel different. Warmer, calmer, but far away. Something else was changing. Elsewhere in the galaxy, ... Cold voice echoed inside a council chamber made of black stone and glass. She has awakened. Another voice replied, sharp and cruel. The human cleansed her? Yes, the bond has started. We must end it. If she completes the process, she becomes more than a threat. She becomes prophecy. Then kill the human. Burn the memory. Wipe the path. A red light flashed across the dark sky above the alien world. Back in the hideout. And Kalira sat close by a heater. She looked better now, stronger, more alive. Her back was straighter, her wounds healing faster. But her eyes, they still held deep pain. You said you'd bear me strong children, Jake said carefully. What did you mean? Kalira looked at him for a long time. In my world, she said, children are not just of blood. They are of legacy, of power. I offer you something greater than sons and daughters. I offer you the future. Jake didn't fully understand. But something in her voice felt true. Suddenly, the walls shook. Boom. Another boom. Kalira stood up fast. They found us. Jake grabbed his rifle. How? Kalira closed her eyes. Because I've begun to heal. I've called back my power, and they can feel it. Outside, red lights flashed through the night. Kalira turned to Jake. This is not the end, she said. This is only the next test. Protect the light you gave me, and I will protect you with what I become. The door burst open, shadows entered, and Kalira once broken and dirty, stepped forward, eyes glowing bright green. Hands ready to fight. The hunter's blood was on the floor. But it wasn't human. Jake stood, chest rising fast, gun still hot. In his hands, the bodies of 3 black armored drones lay around him. One still sparked. Its red eye blinked once, then went dark. Across the room, Kalira stood barefoot. Her face was calm. Her glowing green eyes stared into the smoke. Jake looked at her. "You didn't even touch them," he said. Kalira walked forward. "They were never after you. They came for me." Jake wiped sweat from his forehead. "Why?" she looked at. "The broken machines. Because I'm no longer weak. My body is healing. My mind is waking up. And that scares them." Jake had seen war, monsters, and machines. But this alien girl, once broken and dirty, was something else. She wasn't just surviving, she was becoming. 3 hours earlier, in orbit, a silent ship hovered above the planet. Inside, a group of alien bounty hunters stood around a floating screen. On it, an image of Kalira. And the human soldier. Beside her. "She is activating," one hunter said. A second one grinned, sharp teeth glowing. "Then we are already too late." "No," the leader replied. "She's still weak. But she has bonded with a human. That must be broken." "What's the order?" "Bring her back, or burn the planet." The hunters suited up, tall, fast, brutal. Half machine, half beast. Their ship dropped silently through the clouds. Back on the surface, Jake and Kalira ran through the forest. Trees brushed against their arms. The wind was cold. But the night was alive with sound, drones above, footsteps below. "They're tracking us," Jake said, looking up. Kalira didn't answer. Her eyes were locked forward. Finally, they reached an old bunker, hidden under thick roots and moss. Jake pushed the metal door open. "Get in." Inside, it was dark, wet, cold, but it was safe, for now. Kalira sat down on the stone floor. She breathed slowly, hands on her knees. Jake turned on a small lantern. "You okay?" Kalira nodded. "I'm remembering more. About my people, about the cleansing." Jake sat across from her. "Tell me." Kalira looked up at the ceiling. "We were not born strong. We were made strong, through pain, through loss. Our power didn't come from muscles, it came from memory." She looked at Jake. "When you cleaned me, when you showed me care, you lit a fire that had died inside me. That's why they fear us now." Jake leaned forward. "And these hunters, what do they want?" Kalira's voice turned cold. "They want silence. They want the old ways to stay buried. But if I finish the process, I become proof that my kind can rise again." A loud crash above. The roof shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They're here," Jake said. Kalira stood slowly. "No running this time," she whispered. Jake raised his gun. "What do we do?" Kalira's hands glowed faint green. "We make them remember who I am." Moments later. The metal door exploded. 3 bounty hunters entered, tall and deadly. Red armor, electric weapons. One of them spoke. "Step aside, human. This is not your war." Jake aimed. "You made it mine the moment you broke into my world." The lead hunter stepped forward. "Then you die for her." Suddenly, light. Kalira raised her hand, and a wave of energy pushed the hunters back. The whole bunker shook. Her voice, deep and calm. "You hunted a broken girl. Now face a rising queen." The fight was fast. Violent. The air cracked with sound. Jake fired. Kalira moved like wind and lightning. The bunker became a storm. In the end, only smoke remained. The hunters were dead. Jake sat on the floor, breathing hard. Kalira looked down at him. Her eyes no longer glowed, they burned. "You should be afraid of me," she said softly. Jake smiled. "I was, but not anymore." Kalira looked toward the sky. "They won't stop. More will come. Jake stood up beside her, then let them come. We fight together now. Kalira nodded. Together. We become legend. The air smelled like fire and stars. Jake and Kalira stood on a cliff, staring at the wreckage of the battle below. The sky above them was a dark blue ocean, scattered with stars and a glowing red moon. Jake's face was covered in dust. His hands still shook from the fight. Kalira beside him looked calm, but inside something was changing. She could feel it. Her blood was warmer, her breath deeper, her strength not just returning but evolving. Jake looked at her still, trying to understand who or what she really was. You didn't kill them, he said. No, she replied. I unmade them. Jake blinked. What does that mean? Kalira touched the center of her chest. Their energy still. Lives, but not in them anymore. Later, inside an ancient ruin, they found shelter in a forgotten temple carved into stone. Its walls were covered with symbols, glowing softly, reacting to Kalira's presence. Jake lit a fire near a carved altar. Kalira sat in silence, staring at the flames. Jake walked over. You're not just getting stronger. You're changing. Kalira nodded. Yes, because of you. Jake raised a brow. Me? She looked at him. In my world we grow through bond. Not love, not war, something deeper, a soul marking. Jake sat beside her. And what does that mean for us? Kalira spoke slowly. If I bond with you, I don't just get stronger, you do too. Jake laughed softly. I'm just a guy with a gun and a bad me. She smiled. Not anymore. You touched what no one else could. My truth, my past, my pain. That changes you too. Jake was quiet. Then he asked, what happens if we don't bond? Kalira's face turned serious. That I will keep growing, but I will forget who I was. I will become powerful, but hollow. I will lose the girl you saved. Jake stared into the fire. He didn't speak for a long time. Finally he said, tell me how. The ritual, the temple lights brightened. As Kalira stood, she walked to the altar and removed the broken pendant from her neck. She placed it on the stone. It began to glow. Place your hand here, she said. Jake hesitated. Will it hurt? Kalira gave a gentle smile. Only the parts of you that were never real. Jake placed his hand on the stone. Light shot through the room, not hot, but heavy, like a memory returning. Jake saw visions, not his own. A young Kalira training with her people, her laughter, her fall, the pain, the chains, the silence. He gasped. This is your life. Kalira whispered. Now it's ours. The bond was sealed. Their energies touched. And for a moment, the universe held its breath, far across space. In a cold metal hall, a tall creature stood alone before a black screen. It showed the moment Jake and Kalira completed the bond. Robotic voice behind him said, the prophecy has been triggered. The creature turned, face hidden in shadow. Then we kill the human and take back the girl. The shadow vanished into smoke. Back at the temple, Jake sat against the wall, heart pounding. Kalira leaned beside him, her head on his shoulder. Looked at his arm. Faint glowing lines marked his skin, like alien tattoos. Not painful, just different. Kalira spoke softly. You are now part of something ancient. Jake chuckled. I was just trying to survive a war. She smiled. Now you carry a future. Jake looked at her glowing eyes, her calm face, and whispered, what are we now? Kalira replied, not human, not alien, more. And outside, under the red moon, a new storm began to rise. The betrayal. The stars had never looked so quiet. Jake stood outside the temple ruins, staring up at the sky. His skin still glowed faintly from the bond with Kalira. The symbols on his arm pulsed slowly, like a second heartbeat. Inside, Kalira slept. For the first time peacefully. But Jake couldn't sleep. His radio had come alive again, crackling, whispering. Then ... a voice. Command to Sergeant Jake Miller. We see you, we know, and we're sending help. Jake froze. He hadn't heard a human voice in days, not like this. Not official, not military. Repeat that, he whispered. We know about the alien female. She's dangerous. You're compromised. His hand gripped the radio tight. Surrender her, Jake, and we'll bring you home, alive, with honors. Silence followed. Jake stared at the device. Behind him, Kalira stirred in her sleep. He turned off the radio, but the voice stayed in his head. Flashback. Years ago. Earth Outpost 9. Jake was younger then. Fresh uniform, clean boots. He had seen the cost of trusting the wrong species. An alien peace envoy had come. Friendly, smiling. 2 days later, the entire outpost was dust. He never forgot the sound of screaming. Or how command said, no more mercy, no more chances. Back to present. Jake sat beside Kalira, watching her sleep. She looked human when she rested, calm, gentle, but the marks glowing beneath her skin reminded him she was not. He touched his own arm. That glow wasn't just energy. It was connection, memory, bond. But was it real, or was he being used? The next morning, Kalira opened her eyes. She saw Jake sitting with a cold stare. You didn't sleep, she said. He didn't answer right away. I spoke to someone, he said finally. Her eyes narrowed. Who? Earth Command. A pause. The air between them turned still. Kalira sat up. And they want you. Kalira didn't move. Will you give me to them? She asked. Jake looked away. They say you're a threat. Kalira stood. Slowly, I am a threat. To those who want the galaxy in chains. But you didn't tell me everything, Jake said. You knew this bond would link me to your power. You didn't ask, you just did it. Kalira's voice was calm. I gave you choice. You placed your hand on the stone. Jake's jaw tightened. You're not telling me something. Kalira stepped forward, her voice softer. There's a reason they fear me. Not because of what I am, but because of what I was made to be. She raised her hand. A memory flowed into Jake's mind. Kalira in a lab, screaming. Machines ripping. Her blood, copying her DNA, Earth scientists. Weapons testing. Jake fell to his knees. We did this to you. Kalira nodded. Not you, but your kind. And now your command wants to finish the work. Jake was shaking. His radio buzzed again. Last chance, Sergeant. Mark the target. We'll strike fast. You'll be free. Kalira looked at him. Jake raised the radio. She didn't stop him. He pressed the button, not to signal an attack, but to speak. You're wrong. Say again? Jake stood up, facing the sky. She's not the weapon. You are. He crushed the radio under his boot. Hours later, Kalira and Jake stood at the edge of a canyon. Above, ships moved in, Earth military dropships. You still trust me? Kalira asked. Jake took a deep breath. I don't know what you are, but I know what they are. Kalira reached for his hand. I will protect you, she said. But I will not run again. Jake nodded. Then the sky burned. Explosions, lights, war. The betrayal was complete, but so was the bond. The return of power. The sky was on fire. Not with flames, but with light. Blue, red, gold. The ships from Earth had arrived, and they brought judgment. Jake lay in the dirt, coughing up smoke. The explosion had thrown him far from the canyon's edge. His ears rang. His armor was cracked. His rifle was gone. But all he could think about was one word. Lyra. She had stood between him and the blast. Had she survived? Was she alive? He pushed himself up, hands shaking, and looked around. The ground was scorched. The sky filled with black clouds and falling debris. And then He saw her dot in the center of the battlefield. She stood tall, unmoving, barefoot on the burning soil. Her skin, once dim and bruised, now shone like metal wrapped in starlight. Her hair blew in slow motion, even without wind. Her eyes no longer just green, now pulsed with silver and flame. The soldiers stopped firing. Even the machines paused. Kalira looked different now, not like a girl, not even like an alien. She looked like something ancient had returned. She raised one hand. The Earth gunships above began to fall. Not explode, fall, as if gravity had turned against them. The radio inside Jake's ear buzzed again. "Miller, report, what is she?" He didn't answer. Kalira walked slowly across the broken ground, light bending around her like a shield. The air shimmered near her skin. Jake took a step toward her. "Kalira." She turned, and when she spoke, her voice was no longer just hers. It echoed, layered, like many voices speaking through her. "You gave me kindness when I was nothing. Now I am more than memory. I am rebirth." Jake stared at her, half in awe, half in fear. "Is this what you meant? The return of your power?" She nodded slowly. "Not my power alone. Ours. You gave me a name again. Now I give you a place in the storm." Flashback. Her final memory before the bond awakened. Dark lab. Needles. Screams. Earth scientists draining her energy, turning her into a prototype weapon. They failed. She was too strong. So they buried her, locked her in a prison ship, and left her in a forgotten war zone, until a human soldier found her under a pile of rust and ruin. And washed her face with clean hands. Back to the battlefield. Earth. Soldiers ran, their guns useless, their ships falling like paper birds. Kalira lifted Jake with one gesture, not with hands, with will. He floated for a second, then landed softly beside her. He touched her arm. "You're glowing," he whispered. "I'm becoming," she answered. Suddenly, a shadow dropped from above, a new enemy. Not human, not machine, something else. Tall, hooded creature with a face of light and teeth of stars. The true hunter had come. It spoke in a voice that bent the air. "You should never have woken her." Kalira stood firm. "You made me forget. But this one," she pointed to Jake, "he made me remember." A flash, the creature attacked. Jake dove for cover. Kalira caught the blow with her bare hand. No scream, no pain, only light. She looked at the hunter and whispered, "I am not broken anymore." And she exploded, not in pieces, but in energy. The whole sky turned white. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. The ships were gone. The soldiers fled. Kalira stood, her body now calm, her form back to normal. Glowing, yes, but peaceful, balanced. Jake walked toward her, slowly. "You didn't kill him," he said. "No," she replied. "I ended the war inside him." Jake stared. "You could have destroyed everything." She looked up at the quiet stars. "I still might, if I lose you." The new beginning, the world didn't end, but it changed, forever. Ash floated in the air like falling stars. The wind was quiet, almost sacred. Broken machines lay still, and the land, once torn by fire and war, now held a strange silence. Not the silence of death, but the silence before something new is born. Jake woke to golden light. He was lying beneath a tree that didn't exist yesterday. Its leaves shimmered silver. Its roots pulsed faintly with green light, like veins under skin. He touched his chest. The mark from the bond still glowed, dimmer now, but alive. A shadow fell over him. He looked up. Single quotes Lyra. But not as before. She was no longer a soldier. No longer a lost warrior girl from a broken race. She was something beyond alien, beyond human. A beginning. Her skin no longer shimmered with raw power, but with calm, with balance. Her eyes were soft, glowing amber. Her voice, when she spoke, Sounded like rain on stone. You came back, she said. Jake smiled weakly. I didn't really go anywhere. She helped him stand. Around them, life was returning. Tiny plants grew from cracked metal. The air no longer stank of fuel and blood. It smelled like clean earth. After the first rain, Kalira looked out over the valley. The machines are gone. The hunters are broken. The council is blind. Jake nodded. And Earth? Her face darkened. They will come, with more lies, more rules. But they will not find what they expect. Jake stared at her. What will they find? Kalira stepped forward, lifted a hand from the ground. Something rose, not a weapon, a structure. Smooth, black, and warm with light. Alien symbols etched along the sides. A temple, a beacon, a sanctuary. They will find a world remade, she said, not ruled by fear, but seated with strength. Jake walked beside her. What is this place? Kalira looked at him. The beginning of our kind. Hours passed. Together, they walked through the new valley. Kalira showed Jake the places where memory now lived. Energy pools, ancient stones, language returning in symbols. This was always the plan, she said. Our people were never meant to conquer. We were meant to awaken, Jake asked quietly. And the part about children? She turned to him, smiling gently. Do you think I meant babies? Jake blinked. Well, yeah. She laughed softly. No, human. I meant legacies, a new species, a new future. One that carries the best of both our blood. She touched his chest again, right over the bond mark. You carry the first seed. Far above, in orbit, an Earth recon ship watched. Silently from the dark, target recovered. A pilot whispered. She's alive, but different. Inside the command center, the generals watched in silence. Do we send weapons? Someone asked. No, the commander said. Not yet. This is not war anymore. He pointed at the screen. This is evolution. Back on the surface, Kalira stood on the edge of the sanctuary. Jake beside her. Birds circled above them. Real birds, not drones. He looked at her, still amazed. So, what do we call this new world? She smiled. You choose. You washed me. You woke me. You get to name what we build. Jake looked at the sun, rising slow over the green horizon. He thought for a moment, then said, let's call it ... hope. Kalira nodded, then let hope begin. And in the heart of the ruins, from the ashes of machines and war, a new world began to breathe.